Home Alone is simply my most favorite movie that I've photographed. It's very entertaining and it's very heartfelt. Of the 27 films that I've shot, it's by far my most favorite film.
Where I went to see what was described as a little Christmas film, and I had no idea what to expect, and I was enchanted.
Every kid thinks, if I could just get rid of my parents, it'd be great. And every parent, once in a while, tell the truth parents, thinks, if I could just get rid of my kid. Then the flip side of those two things obviously occurs, where the kid goes, geez, I didn't mean alone, I just meant not now. Mom? And the parents go, you know, we really miss the kid. Kevin! The genius of the script that John wrote is that he plays desire and fear beautifully, like a little orchestra.
Action!
This house is so full of people, it makes me sick. When I grow up and get married, I'm living alone. Did you hear me? I'm living alone!
My problem in the film business is that I started with John Hughes, and so he would give me a script, I'd read, I'd go, oh, that's pretty good. You know, first draft, that's pretty good. It took about 10 years after working with John to realize just how good they were.
Sometimes you read a script and it says, you know, and the bad guys get the crap beat out of them. One of the brilliant things of John's writing was that he laid out the physical comedy in exquisite detail.
It's so well written and it's so well executed, and it's so much fun, and it's so much fun for everyone.
And so when I first read the script, I was laughing out loud. It was like a Stooges thing, but shot by shot. So he was incredibly detailed in his vision, and then Chris brought it to life shot for shot. The gags in the film were written in the script, and fairly specifically. At the same time, there were elements that didn't exist in the original script. The character of Marley, I don't think existed in the original screenplay. The movie originally ended with Kevin just saying, just hung around, freeze frame, and we sort of worked together to bring that emotional side to it, as well as the intense sort of comedic side of it. We were telling this story through a child's point of view. For me, I wanted to create a sense of warmth with the picture, making absolutely certain that Home Alone felt timeless. The wardrobe, the look of the picture, it had to have some elegance and give it some style. And Julio Macat came through brilliantly.
It was a really exciting time for me because I was just starting out. I had done a very small feature before. I think that was the reason Chris interviewed me for the job. He saw a lot of stunts on my reel, which I think he liked.
I had been working as a stuntman, but this was my first big break to double a lead and on a film and be on the film for, 3 months. It was a big break for me, because then after Home Alone, I got called a lot to do a lot of physical stunts as car hits and falls and everything because of the nature of the first Home Alone. So it got me a lot of work after that.
The set atmosphere on Home Alone was like none other ever. I mean, it was like going to a frat party every day. Everybody was so young. There's always music playing, and Chris was hilarious, and Mark Radcliffe was the AD, and he's now Chris's executive producer on all these huge pictures now, and we just had a blast.
It was actually the first time I cast out of Chicago, so I got to go to Chicago, and so it was sort of off in Chicago on my own, and it was probably a bit of a confidence builder. The Kevin character, I thought it really had to be cast well. It had to be somebody that you believe could take care of himself. You were afraid for him.
This is the furnace. It's the scariest thing in the basement. You should see what it does to me.
With the wrong kid, it could have been an obnoxious child. So you needed somebody that was just totally endearing.
Kevin, I'm on the phone.
No, we're not bringing the dog. Put it in the kennel for the... Hey, get off. Kevin, out of the room.
Hang up the phone and make me, why don't you?
Well, Macaulay's involvement came from John Hughes. He had been in Uncle Buck. And John said to us, look, you may not want to cast Mac, but take a look at him, meet him, and let's, see what you think.
I wanted to find this perfect kid to be in Home Alone, and I didn't want to resort to using Macaulay, who was in Uncle Buck. I thought, I want to find someone on my own.
John Hughes suggested me for the part. And, you know, Chris wanted, you know, he met with me early on, but he also wanted to meet with other people. He just didn't want to just take the first thing that was in front of him.
Guys, I'm eating junk and watching rubbish. You better come out and stop me.
After meeting 400 other kids, I realized that there was no one as special or as unique or as talented as Macaulay. The camera loved him. He just was infinitely relatable to people all over the world. Little did I realize until I started shooting the film that not only did he have it for that film, but he truly was a certified movie star.
Macaulay's become a great actor, I think. His recent work is really tremendous. As a 9-year-old boy, how good an actor can you be? So he had a beautiful face, he had a great sense of comedy, and he had a great teacher in Chris also.
Action!
The dork was whining about a suitcase. What am I supposed to do? Shake his hand and say, congratulations, you're a dork? I'm not an idiot. Oh, really?
Cut? Okay.
I'm not an idiot.
Yeah. Now, guys, here's what you can do. Megan, Hillary, you guys can move a little faster here, okay? So you can say you're completely helpless. Everybody has to do everything for you as you're almost here, okay? So let's try it one more time, guys. And action.
I've never done this once in my whole life. That's what Megan said. What did I say? You told Kev you're tough. The dork was whining about a suitcase. What am I supposed to do? Shake his hand and say, congratulations, you're an idiot? I'm not an idiot. Oh, really? You're so helpless. Everyone has to do everything for you.
Chris was very, very good with me. He knew how to get me to do the things that he wanted me to do, to tell the story that he wanted to tell. And that's what it was all about, is just making sure that Chris was happy. You know, you always want to make a director happy, and, you know, especially when you're a kid, even more so. I'm not sure if there's anyone else in the business who can really get performances out of children the way he can.
He always knew his lines. He was always a professional, always prepared. At the same time, he was a 9-year-old kid. So at any given moment, he would have to become a kid because you don't have that sense of responsibility that you have as an adult. But, you know, as a kid, you get tired sometimes. You tend to get distracted. You tend to laugh. You tend to have fun. And that was all part of what made his performance so special.
What happened to my room?
Heather, Tracy, and Sandra took it.
This house is so full of people. It makes me sick. When I grow up and get married, I'm living alone.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Everybody was just completely...
Macaulay was fun to work with. I mean, he always joked around. He used to play around with the crew all the time. I think he even liked to do their jobs if he could.
Me and Chris decided that we would use a dollar shot.
Yeah, what should I do here?
Do a dollar shot.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about after this?
I'm not sure.
What about a close-up?
Good idea.
Okay. Should I do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone got the really genius idea of putting a camera in a 9-year-old's hands. But it's interesting to see my point of view that I don't even remember. I don't remember any of this stuff. You know, they just kind of put a camera in my hands and I just shot away.
Hey, when I get you on the other side, there's more light. I can't really see you.
How do you know all this stuff?
Okay, right here, right here. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Mac. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Take my glasses off for this.
I don't want to give you any ideas, but are we going tighter?
Are we going tighter? Yes.
Is it true that you are in the hit movie Home Alone?
Yes, it is true, Macaulay. And there's one thing that I have to say. They told me that in about 15 years that they will still be showing this movie because the style of it is going to still be in fashion.
Isn't it true that you're the brother of the famous Macaulay Culkin? Yes, it is true. Do you think Home Alone will be a hit movie?
Yes, absolutely. Because you're in it.
Thank you. Moving on.
So long.
We just had a great cast, you know, everywhere. Anyone from Macaulay Culkin and Joe Pesci and Dan. They were just a great bunch of people to work with.
We were really lucky. Joe Pesci read it and saw that he could do something with it, and he came on board, and when he came on board, everyone else kind of followed.
Joe Pesci was someone I was a gigantic fan of from Raging Bull and Goodfellas, and I thought, God, it would be great if Joe Pesci would agree to do something like this. He warmed to the script. We got along when we first met, and he decided to do the film, which was shocking to me. I didn't expect him to do it.
He thought that a lot of what we were asking him to do was a stretch for him, which it was. He handled it so well because a lot of it was, you know, kind of in a different playing field than what he was used to. I think his hardest thing was not to cuss. on camera.
I'm working with Pesci. He's such a little whiny, annoying guy who I absolutely love. He pushes you, and he wants it to be perfect, and we love being silly together.
Marv! Harry? Why the hell did you take your shoes off?
Why the hell you dressed like a chicken?
I had been a huge fan of Daniel Stern ever since I saw Breaking Away, and he was just, I thought, a phenomenal actor. He was always my first choice, although he wasn't originally cast in the film because we couldn't afford him.
They hired another guy, and then I think the other guy, whose name I can't remember, and Pesci rehearsed for like a few days, and then they called me and said, okay.
Ironically, because of a failed screen test, Dan ended up getting the role.
Thank God that other guy didn't do that movie. It would have been so stupid to have passed. When we first started shooting Home Alone, Chris wanted to have a real sense of danger until the explosion at the end when all the gags are set up and then Macaulay pounds us, and then it got more cartoony. So it was kind of being silly and stupid, but trying to keep some malevolence to it and unleash the slapstick at the end.
Hiya, pal. We outsmarted you this time. Get over here.
And they had me hung on the hook, which was a whole kind of little system thing that they'd have put me up there and stuff. And so we're rehearsing, and you know, Joe goes,
First thing I want to do is bite off every one of his fingers, one at a time.
I don't think he did it on purpose. He bit me. And I think he just meant to put his teeth on my finger, but he bit down a little harder than he thought. And I have a little Joe Pesci tooth mark scar right here on my finger, and it's still there. But I'm actually really proud of it. It's my little Home Alone battle wound.
Although we tried to rough up Macaulay as much as we could because that was our best shot at him, Stationary target, finally, that kid. I'm gonna kill that kid!
What are you gonna do to him, Harry? I'm gonna burn his head with a blowtorch. I'm gonna smash his face with an iron.
The iron, the way we shot that actually was interesting because the way they did that, obviously they shoot up and they have an iron dropping towards the camera. But when they want to film down looking at me, they built a rig where they put the camera on a rope and dropped the camera at me, and the rope was supposed to poing, stop like right there. So, and I'm supposed to be looking at this 300-pound camera dropping at my face. Okay, I hope we know what we're doing. The stepping on the nail was a rubber nail that I could crush, like that. Walking across the bulbs, those were all made of sugar. There's a tarantula crawling up my face, and there was supposed to be a mechanical tarantula. And so we got to the day of shooting, and I said, where's that mechanical tarantula? Because I saw the box with the big hairy one. And they said, yeah, that didn't work out. Didn't look real. So it's the real tarantula? Did you take the poison stinger out of the real tarantula? They said, well, if we took the stinger out, the tarantula would die eventually. And I said, but if you don't take the stinger out, I will die because it's going to be crawling on my face, and I'm supposed to scream, and I don't want to scare. Well, tarantulas can't really hear that well, so you can scream. That's when I let out a scream that I think I copied from Psycho.
I hope you're making this behind the scenes interesting.
Is this making sense so far?
I think what happened with this film is something that doesn't happen often. You have a good story, and then you have a good performance, and then the next layer is you have interesting way of presenting the story, with the photography, with the sets. It was like a layer cake that just got better and better, and then you get one of the best music people in the world to score it.
There was another composer who was originally scheduled to do the picture, and his schedule all of a sudden didn't work out, which is like one of those accidents where, like getting Joe or certain other things, a puzzle piece flips away and a better puzzle piece falls into place, and John Williams came on board.
Sometimes people make associations with composers, for example, in my case, and the budgets of film. They may not ask me to do a film if the budget isn't big, or they may want someone else to do it because it is small. Actually, from my point of view, I've never really cared about that. It's more a visceral thing, the kind of reaction that one has to the material that is irrelevant to the cost of it, really, and the size of it and the scale of the production. So I was delighted to be asked to do the film.
John Williams and I have done 5 or 6 pictures together, and he has truly just taken my films and just given them new life. And he's honestly, I think, the greatest living composer.
The holiday atmosphere, from an orchestral point of view, is always fun to paint. And the other aspect was the comedic aspect of it. And a lot of those comedic sequences that are scored, if the music is a few frames off one way or another, it won't do. It needs to be really sewn to the action in a way that you would with an animated cartoon almost. It's a difficult piece to do, even though I think I had more chuckles and more fun doing it than a great many other films that I've done.
This film had a lot of heart to it as well, particularly the scenes in the church, and he gave it just a big Christmassy feel, which was one of the real things that John Hughes was trying to do, was to deliver a Christmas film. At Christmas you sit and it's always the same films being shown endlessly. It's a Wonderful Life, and well, you know them all. 34th Street, well, he remade that for that very reason. So he had his eye on that market, and John Williams really helped us hit that mark.
Both Chris and I had talked about A Christmas Story, which was kind of a contemporary of this film. It was a favorite of both of us. And both of us wanted to do something that was a little more fine-tuned and a little more classic in the sense of presenting Christmas in a more regal way.
The key for me is to always create films that don't feel dated. A picture like Home Alone still makes an audience laugh as hard as it did when it was first released. And that to me is what we wanted to do way back then. You know, the goal was always, the mantra was always, guys, when we're old and gray and it's 3 a.m. and this pops up on the Late Show, I want to make sure that none of us are embarrassed by it.
It's still funny in the way now, today, that it was back then, and I think it will continue to be. I think it's a classic movie, and it's just, I'm very, very proud to be a part of that.
Home Alone is the most special movie I've ever been in, actually. I mean, I love all the movies I've been in, and I'm very proud of them, and I've had great people to work with, but Home Alone has been a calling card throughout the world.
What else did you do while we were away?
Just hung around.
We were just trying to make a good film, as good a film as you can. And making good films is like putting lightning in a bottle. I mean, you assemble the best team you can and then you pray, because you don't know. I mean, that's what makes making films quite an exciting business in all respects.
I think Home Alone is everything. It's certainly a holiday movie. I mean, see it every holiday season. I mean, it's a family movie, and it's wonderful slapstick and a comedy. So I think it probably hit every area. So kids could love it, parents could love it. It was a true family movie where everybody could have a good time at the movie.
And you know, I've done a lot of thinking about what we did right on the film, because I wanted to recreate it on other films, and it's really difficult to do because the film took on its own style. I think by handling the scenes in the right dramatic context and being aware of the scenes that came before and after, the film took on its own flow that worked for the film.
That's it, we're done.
Hi guys, did you know that Home Alone is not just any successful comedy movie, it was a record holder for nearly 30 years. Until the Chinese blockbuster Never Say Die was released in 2017, Home Alone was the highest grossing comedy film of all time, and it's definitely worth its title. Let us know what your favourite comedy film is. And also, remember to click below to subscribe on the side for more great content.